Hello, everyone, and are we going?
Oh, we were, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Back Pocket Podcast, a podcast that is proudly standing up and asking, release the Joffa files. Just release them. Can we use that one?
Yeah. Why not? The Joffa Pels have... Joffa Pels? Joffa files have such names as Cardinal Pell and other esteemed members of the Australian public on them. You did get me there. I was silent. That was. It's not very often I've been dumbstruck by one of your intros, but that really caught me. Welcome back to the Back Pocket. We finally did it. We had a weekend of reasonably good football. We made it through Dogslop June.
Dogslop
June. We had
June.
4 to 5 games of genuinely watchable footy.
Yeah, half a round.
We started off with a fizzer. Carlton threatened for the best part of the first half, but from time 1 in the second to all of the third, Brisbane just kind of flexed their muscle. Friday night was, I don't know if you'd call it good, but it was incredibly entertaining and seesawing.
Yes.
Collingwood don't kick their first goal until the 15-minute mark of the third quarter and then hit the lead at the 14-minute mark of the last.
I definitely wouldn't refer to it as a good game, but it was entertaining.
Bulldogs failed against another top 8 side, but that game was good and entertaining. Adelaide were better all game, and they just kind of held them at length, despite the fact the Bulldogs tried to come back a few times. Giants extended their dominance over Geelong under Adam Kingsley, who's not lost to them yet, in a game that basically went as perfectly as they could have hoped, where at one end, Connor Iden just monstered Jeremy Cameron, and at the other end, Cadman dominated O'Sullivan. The worst game, I think, in living memory was played out on Saturday in a comedy of errors.
Yes. I was literally laughing at the TV as things happened. From one moment in the Richmond forward line, head in hand, not believing what happened, to watching every single player fall over next to the ball.
Single-handedly bought the Herbertron YouTube channel back from Derby. It was such a bad game, which was amazing. Followed by a thriller in Perth, where Freo kicked a remarkable 12-5 to come from behind. 2 goals down at three-quarter time to win that with a 4-0 final term. They were 8 goals won at three-quarter time to stay in touch in that game. And then Sunday, it looked like the good times were over as Melbourne just kind of pumped North and Gawn pumped Jerry. But the day was saved by the other 2 games, where the Saints almost caused an upset against Sydney, who led for almost all of the second half until a nice Grundy-Goulden combo could put them in front.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles were in front all day until the last quarter when Port kicked 5-0, but and Horn Francis on a broken foot had the most insane second half.
What an insanely dominant last quarter for someone with a broken foot.
Insane. Out for the season now. And I remember he went off with that. It was half time. I think he was off. And people were like, oh no, is he off? But clearly whatever jab and strapping they gave him was enough to get him through. But West Coast have been much more competitive this year, despite technically being worse win-loss.
Yeah.
I think they've looked like a more complete football side.
And that's them all getting used to that new game plan. So they've become more enjoyable to watch, except for the occasions where,
Yeah, Genie West does what they did to them a few weeks ago or whatever.
Last week it was 60 points. And
we talked about it
shot.
Last week or the week before, where their games against Collingwood, Geelong, Carlton, they've at least had a semblance of a game plan.
Yeah.
And we saw it again this week against Port. When it works, it looks really good. And I've got more on that I'll get to later. But
spoilers.
Spoilers. Do you have anything you want to add to the round wrap before we jump into the votes?
There was one thing. No.
No? All right.
It was in my brain while you were talking, and then it just completely escaped me as soon as you asked me for input, so...
Yeah, maybe it'll come back to you.
Maybe.
Or it won't, and then it's just lost to the world. Well, you did intro, so I guess I'll jump in with my one vote, which was to Darcy Moore, who, despite only having 9 disposals, 6 of those were intercepts, 6 were contested. He had 11 spoils, 2 rebounds, won both his one-on-ones, both his score involvements were launches, and he had 2 coaches' votes, and 11.7 rating points. More rating points than disposals, which is very rare.
That's fun.
But he was really good. Really was part of the reason that Collingwood was still in that game at halftime when Gold Coast probably should have kicked them off the park by that point. So 1 vote for me, Darcy Moore.
Awesome. I have given my 1 vote to someone who I think we've barely cited this year on this podcast. I'm giving 1 vote to Tom Stewart.
Tom Stewart was a special mention for me who had 1 vote for a lot of the week.
Yeah.
So I get it. I, unfortunately, being a special mention, don't have his votes here.
That's okay. I've got some of his stats right here. Had 29 disposals, 22 of which were kicks, 654 metres gained. He had 13 intercept possessions, alongside winning both of his contested one-on-ones and 8 rebound 50s.
I think he was the only Geelong player to get coaches' votes as well in that game. Or maybe Tom Atkins as well. But either way, he definitely polled coaches' votes. But he was really good in a game where Geelong, their game plan got torn apart by GWS's speed after the first quarter. Like, GWS regrouped at quarter time and
if GWS can put the speed on you and you can't react to it, it's probably over.
And they've done it to multiple teams this year. It's really funny that GWS's win-loss record against the top 4 versus the rest of the ladder is shaped like it is, but Geelong, Brisbane and Collingwood, literally no worries. It'll be interesting to see how that goes in September.
Yeah.
Because good chance that they'll cop one of those 3 teams in week 2.
My ladder predictor has it being Geelong, so...
Yeah. 2 votes for me to Harry Edwards this week.
I've got Harry Edwards down for a nice clean 4.
A 4? Fair enough. I thought he was very, very good. My 2 to 5 were all players I thought were excellent on the weekend. He had 17 disposals, 12 of those were intercepts, 11 marks, 1 off the intercepts record with 9 intercept marks. Would have been the funniest name on that list.
Yep.
He had 3 out of 3 one-on-ones, 2 score involvements, both launches, 15 rating points from fullback.
Isn't Sava Radicale on that list?
I think so, yeah. Actually, that's the funniest name on the list. And 5 coaches' votes. He was really good, and he has been a few times this year. I think you've given him votes already.
Yep.
I can't remember what game it was, but it was his...
I gave him a 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Harry Edwards.
Sweet. Well, my 2 is probably unpopular how low I have him. 2 to Darcy Wilmot.
Darcy Wilmot was an honourable mention for me.
Okay.
So
makes me feel a little better. He had 31 disposals, 23 of them being kicks. He had 14 marks, 7 intercept possessions, 3 of them intercept marks. And he also had 3 rebound 50s. Thought he was really solid. That's worthy of a 2, I think.
He's becoming a really exciting player for them. Not that they need any more of them, but he's slotted into that system so well, and he's just so... he's not fast, but he runs all day, so as the game goes on, he seems faster. I've really liked what he's putting together. My 3 votes this week was to Daniel Rioli. This is almost solely because of how good his second half was, and I don't think without his defensive efforts they win that game. He had 2 frees against for deliberate out of bounds, but they were insufficient intent.
Collingwood-esque.
But they were so needed to happen. Like, he cleared the area by so far that it didn't matter that it went out of bounds because they could get back and lock in.
They played very smart football in that last quarter.
They really did.
It was
the most mature I've seen them.
Like, even players like Walters down the line, just not even trying to mark it, just punching it over.
A stark difference to the games against GWS and Melbourne. Obviously, they beat Melbourne, but compared to those 2 games, it was a totally different last quarter.
They've drilled it.
Anyway, he also had 22 disposals and 7 intercepts. He had 8 rebounds, won both his one-on-ones, 453 metres gained, and 6 score involvements, 3 of which were launches. But the most part of it was just that last quarter, the pressure, the spoiling. I thought he was really, really good.
Was honourably mentioned by me.
Fair enough. Who was then your 3?
Connor Iden's my 3.
Connor Iden is my 5.
Thought he might be.
I think that was so important to that game. I'll run his stats here first, but only had the 13 disposals, 4 of which were intercepts, 5 marks, 9 spoils, 6 rebounds, won all 3 one-on-ones, and had 2 score involvements. The first of those one-on-ones, I think, really set the tone for the day. It was late in the first quarter, I think. Geelong were dominating at this point. It was like 3-0. And it was him and Jeremy Cameron, one out in the goal square. He was behind him, he got in front, spoiled the ball, it came to ground, and he got in front of Cameron at the contest and knocked it on to a teammate who rebounded it. And the day just went like that from that point on. He kept Cameron to 5 disposals, 1 goal, and only 3 score involvements. It was crucial to the way they played that game, and he was very impressive. He's done it before
Somehow it allowed Neil to kick 5 goals.
Yeah, weirdly Buckley couldn't keep up with Neil, but I monstered Cameron, which would be the opposite of what you'd have expected going into that game. But here we are. So we've done your 4.
Yes, we have.
My 4 is to Cal Wilkie.
Who's my 5?
Who is your 5? The only reason he wasn't 5 was that, based on 2 things, the quality of the actual forward he played on, and he only had the one-on-one and he lost it and had a single spoil. That was the only thing that swapped my 4 and 5. But he did have 23 disposals, 14 of which were intercepts, which is insane. 12 contested, 8 marks, 3 of which were intercepts, 6 rebounds, 3 score involvements, 19.9 rating points from fullback, and 5 coaches' votes. He was very, very good. Similar-ish votes this week. That's good. Similar-ish votes this week. That's good.
Yeah, I know.
That's nice.
I know, I heard you.
And my, I guess the other stats, my special mentions also were to Brennan Cox and Jordan Ridley.
Yeah.
Jordan Ridley was like if that game wasn't so dour, maybe you'd get a mention. But
I went through that game and there were a couple of people I wanted to give a vote to, and the only one who came across was Ben Miller, because he was the only one with a decent
I like Ben Miller.
accuracy / disposal efficiency.
Yeah.
Everyone else was dog shit.
Spoils this week were Caminiti and Cox with 12 each. We've already mentioned...
Caminiti and Cox sounds like a law firm, and I really want to watch their adventures.
Wilkie had 14 intercepts. Edwards had 9 intercept marks. Himmelberg led the way for lossless and total one-on-one wins. He had 6 and didn't lose 1.
Damn.
And then rebound 50s were Jordan Clark and Jack Henry. That's votes. Votes done.
I've remembered what I wanted to talk about when we were talking about the
Sick.
games.
Well, as we start into the next section, go for it.
I proudly came onto this podcast last week and gave my tips.
And I nailed it.
I
The only
said-
one you got wrong was Carlton.
Because I tip them every week because it's just in my nature. But Gold Coast, nailed that one. I said that the Bulldogs were frauds, and they lost to Adelaide. Said that GWS have the wood over Geelong. They won that.
Yep.
I said that Richmond would beat Essendon, and boy, did they. And I think I was umming and ahhing about Fremantle and Hawthorn, and I went Fremantle in the end, which I'm obviously happy with, but that was closer than...
I did, admittedly, not disagree with any of your reasons last week. Like, I got why you went those ways. But then I got all of those Saturday games wrong. So
it felt really good raising from like 9th in our comp to 7th.
It was a few weeks ago I had like 2 perfect weeks in a row and I went up to 52nd in my work tipping and I was like, woo!
Not our year. We nailed it last year.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd last year.
Which means I have done my tips for this week, but they're not exciting because it's not a good round of football coming up.
Well, we'll get to those. I think there's a few interesting games, but I don't know if they're going to be good games. Other news from around the league this week. Jerry got 3 weeks. His defence to his careless striking charge was, I intended to strike him but not in the head. And then the tribunal went, yep, that's what you've been charged with, so moving on. Thought that was really funny. He also, instead of saying, I work in a phone booth every week, he said, I work in a shoebox every week, which is a very funny metaphor. I really enjoyed that.
But what has that got to do with anything?
Well, like working in tight spaces, I don't know. He basically was like, I get picked to clobber blokes. So if I don't do it, I'm not going to keep my spot in the team. Which I have thoughts on that, but moving on. The Chair Tribunal was one of the most pointless things I've ever seen. I reckon as soon as Andrew Wood stood up and said that the AFL was only looking for a fine, Carlton should have just gone, oh, all right, and just gone home. That was a waste of
their money was already on the table. Paying for those lawyers, might as well save $500.
I know. The AFL should have just messaged them and be like, hey guys, it's going to be a fine. Can we just not take this to the tribunal? Anyway.
Nah. The tribunal deliberately picks out bullshit cases so people flock to the David Zeta Twitter page. It is a conspiracy.
Zeta gives the tribunal a portion of his money.
Yep. And they give him free schnitz.
The Essendon injury carnage continues.
Yes.
And when I wrote this note, there's been one since. Like, Sardis hadn't been added to the injury list when I wrote down that the carnage had continued. There were 6 changes from last week from an already decimated side.
Oh, they were that bad with good players in.
With players who were good who are now missing. We've got Setterfield's out, we've got Martin's out, we've got Hobbs is out.
Another debutant in. Which is the reason I will watch that game.
They've now got the record.
I really like Liam McMahon. They've equalled it.
They
need one more to break Fitzroy's
It's the record for AFL era.
Yes.
But yes. And then like actual record.
Oh, sorry, Fitzroy record is most debuts in one season, not via an expansion club. Sorry.
And then the most of the AFL era is now this, going past Richmond and North, who both had 13.
Yeah.
And then
this is their 13th.
If you go back too far, it's too
Yeah.
many. Like St Kilda had like 63 players in a year once in the 1930s.
Just briefly back on Tribunal.
Yes.
I'm assuming you saw the Dev Robertson not cited for punching a bloke twice in the
who
chest.
then finally got cited once the AFL saw it on social media.
Yeah. Which shows
It
that
also looked like he threw a boot in after the camera moved
he
away.
was going hard. 2 weeks seems low, but obviously they only care about injury, which seems like they don't review VFL games. They just look at who got injured. Someone got concussed, let's check the incident.
Yeah, it's what an insane... And I think that's part of the problem with, because the AFL manages the VFL rather than the Samful and Waffle, which are their own organisations.
No one's actually...
The AFL's not paying enough attention to it.
They don't care.
Because, that was odd. Because I remember I saw that first.
I saw the footage.
I saw the footage of him doing that before I saw
The
the preceding incident,
Yeah.
which was the push. And I was like, so we're not going to talk about the other one? And then it was like a week before the AFL was like, oh yeah, actually, we are going to... It's 2 weeks. Anyway.
It's seriously, the Tribunal is... I would say it's run by Muppets, but the Muppets know how to put on a show.
I would like to see the Muppets, Stantler and Waldorf sledging Michael Christian.
Yeah, or better yet, taking his place, and they're heckling the players coming to the Tribunal.
While the Tribunal process is coming on and the QCs are doing their bits and the Tribunal's asking questions, Stantler and Waldorf are just sitting like... Zeta's on one screen, Stantler and Waldorf are on the other screen.
I'm into it.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
Why don't they televise it? If they're it's such a pointless... Put it on the TV. People would watch it. They make money out of that.
Well, I mean, they've got to use that time to put Gary Lyon on air.
Zeta would be out of a job.
He'd be there reporting.
Yeah, but like people wouldn't be paying as much attention to
Yeah,
Zeta
he wouldn't get a Schnitz dealership.
Yeah.
Dealership?
Dealership. Schnitz dealership. Gotta have a license for a Schnitz. On the note of Carlton, they may have lost the war, but Pitto won the battle of the most fun goal in that game. I could not believe... Like, everyone had just was kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, half walking off, and Pitto just barreled it.
It's very funny to watch.
Like, it kept them in the game for a bit.
If you gave me 40 guesses and asked me who kicked a barrel in that game,
nothing
Pitto might
was
not
more
have been
like
guessed.
Pitto's career than kicking that goal, moments later dropping a mark in defensive 50 and costing a goal, and then crumbing Curnow in the forward 50 and kicking a goal from the goal square in the space of about 5 minutes in that game. And I was like, that's Pitto, I guess. That's what you get.
At least he's trying.
You're so right. And I like him being there because I get my little Chera to Wiedering to Pitto, like Pokemon evolution scale. I bought back our, from like 2 years ago now, 2.5. We did Teams as Pokemon because someone mentioned it today and I was like, oh, we've done this, don't worry. But I was saying that there's 18 Pokemon types and 18 teams, so you could try and figure out one for one. And it got a bit in depth. We got silly with it in the chat, but
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So many bird.
There are.
teams.
Yeah, well, I think that Essendon it gets to be flying because they're aeroplanes.
Okay.
And like that's why they're called that, because they're near the airport. And then you got to figure out what the other flying teams get.
Yeah, well, you could immediately, because Collingwood's a magpie, you can go dark, right? That's
I said Collingwood Dark. That was my first one. I also said because they're evil.
Oh, I didn't say that.
I said obviously Port, Electric, Freo, Water. I said Geelong Grass originally because farming, and then Gita West Steel. There was a few. I don't remember them all, but
It's interesting.
there's a lot going on. I said Gold Coast Fire.
I was going to say Suns, yeah.
Anyway, it's a half thought out idea.
Yeah, I feel like you just start to you go. I guess.
Speaking of the Suns,
Huh?
they have only won one second half since round 10.
Yeah, I know you were telling
They've
me about
won
this.
most of those games. That one second half was against Essendon too. But it is... I mean, the good thing is in the Melbourne and Collingwood game, they've shown that they can hang on when those second halves don't go their way. But it's definitely something that they'll want to fix up before September.
Well, they can't afford
and they have
to do
to
it
play
this
teams
week
like
in
Brisbane
Adelaide.
and, again, Collingwood and Gita West, who love coming back from a second half deficit. Interesting. It's an interesting stat, because I didn't realise it was as bad as it was. In my head, I was like, I think they've lost like the last 4 second halves. And then I went back to the game before it, and I was like, the last 5? Just kept going. Anyway, have you got stocks up, stocks down this week?
I do have stocks up, stocks down.
Me too. Who is your stocks up this week?
My stocks up is a stealth stocks down.
Oh, okay. Still stealth stocks down.
And I know you did it last week, but my stocks up is the Essendon injury group chat, which now must have more players in it than the regular
They got a
group
rehab
chats.
WhatsApp?
Yeah, so Ben Mackay was on his podcast talking about being added into the group chat, and when you're over your injury, you get moved out of the group chat and you get rejoined back in, and they're all supporting each other. Had 6 blokes this week to the injury rehab chat on top of the people that were already in there. I feel like they must never take Jordan Ridley out. Even
He
if
just
he's
lives
playing,
in it.
he
It's
just
like-
stays in the group chat.
Do you reckon you get to you don't get removed from the injury group chat until you've been fit for 4 weeks? So
No.
you just no.
I reckon as soon as they have nothing to do with you in there, because like the what's it called, the fitness guru manager's in there as well, and obviously he tells people what they need to do and whatever. But it is funny that exists, and it's also funny that it must be one of the biggest group chats going around in the AFL.
It's really funny. That's really funny. I love there's apparently this is a total side swing, but there's apparently a just former South Australian cricketers who've played for Australia group chat, and it just grows every time a new one debuts. And apparently when Travis Head made his 180 odd last year and then got out, Jason Gillespie was still the highest scoring South Australian. And I found that so funny.
Do you know it's weird if you don't know about that chat and then suddenly it's you've been added to a group chat by Megastar.
And you're like, what?
Sorry.
You make your debut and you're oh, okay, well, that exists. And the last message is just that still that Gillespie one. My stocks up this week was West Coast's tall youth. So Harry Edwards we kind of already mentioned, but to a lesser extent also Jobe Shanahan and Jack Williams look like a functional forward duo. They played 30 games between the two of them.
One of them
Shanahan's played 3.
2 or 3. They don't look like stars, but they look like they are serviceable.
Yeah, Shanahan gets in good positioning, he brings the ball to ground, he's taken some good contested marks. And Williams, we've seen a few games this year, he's actually kicked 4 and 5 goal hauls, I guess. Edwards had somewhat of a coming-of-age game, I think, on the weekend, and even though he played waffle on the weekend, we've seen some positive signs from Sandy Brock in a few games against young forwards. Not that power forwards have had their way with it, but I can you can see it. We already mentioned there's a lot of positivity with West Coast's game plan, but the tall timber is so important.
It's one of those things that getting games into those, especially the forwards now. Obviously, Waterman's out for the season. Oscar Allen may never play a game for them again. You get the experience into those two, and then over the next 2 or 3 seasons, you use one of those early picks to bring in a key forward to take the number 1 spot, and then you've got 2 good, experienced players around it. So will they suffer a little bit being the number 1 and 2 targets at the moment? Shanahan hasn't really shown that, but they might. But I feel like it's really good for development.
There's a lot of promise in there. And we've talked about Jimby as well, where he plays such a good third tall in the back line, but then in a Weddle or Blakey type, you can throw him into the midfield and crash and bash for a bit. There's a lot to
and
about
he's not a tall, but
what they're building.
Hoff's got a lot of utility
as well. Yeah, and then obviously Reid had a brilliant game outside of his free kicks.
And then Champion Data came out and slandered him. Did you see that?
Lee Matthews was like, he should look to Cam Rayner. I was like, Cam Rayner, who was clearly worse than Reid is currently in his second year of football.
Champion Data came out and said Harley Reid is the lowest rated player in the comp. And I'm like, no, he's not.
It's clearly not true.
Because there are players who get -1s each week. And Harley Reid just had 30 disposals and 2 goals or whatever.
-8.7 a couple weeks ago. Anyway, so
I feel like if you're going to get your clicks on that show, like saying Ed Richards is almost one of the most untouchable players in the league, do it in a positive sense. Don't do it to
they broke Ed Richards.
Put a player down.
Yeah, no, I agree. Who is your stocks down?
Oh, we didn't even get to stocks down?
No, you just did a stocks up that was technically a stocks down.
Can I count that as both? No, Greg Swan is coming into the AFL
sure
in a.
I can't wait to see him having to defend everything next year.
It's interesting the things that he's already said that he wants to look at. So they've said that they want to look at the stand rule, which I think is something that should just go. Like, I don't care about it.
It's so abused at this point. Players are moving out to outside the 5 way too late. Players are swapping on the mark, which was defeated the purpose of the rule.
Unnecessary 50s. It's too costly. Yeah. Just get rid of it. He said that he wants to look at shortening quarters. And he...
Oh, no. Dangerfield's been in his ear.
He specifically pointed to a game where someone had been stretchered off and 8 minutes of the time on was someone being moved off, which I think is silly. And if you're going to actually bring up reasons to shorten the game, it shouldn't be we had to spend 8 minutes waiting for someone to get stretchered off because they got clobbered in the head. He also mentioned, or at least someone brought up the last touch out of bounds rule. And I think that will make AFL unwatchable.
Dislike last touch out of bounds. It's not as bad, like in the women's games I do for the waffle, it's not as bad as like you think it's going to be. It's not as jarring as you think because it's only between the arcs, obviously.
Yes, and that's what it would probably be for AFL,
It is still a bit, like, jarring.
It's also, like, another thing, like, if you want to take away the stand rule so it's something umpires don't have to officiate, now you have to make them look at who touched it last. So if it's coming off a spoil, etc.
Well, those spoils and stuff don't count. It's only from a clean disposal for last touch out of bounds.
It doesn't?
Yeah, so it's only if it's a clean, like if it's been touched or smothered, it doesn't count. It's only for a clean touch. So that way it kind of removes the intent, right? So if it's just a clear kick... No, it wouldn't be.
No.
If it's just a clear kick or a handball out of a stoppage and it goes straight to the boundary line, that's just a free kick. Which is really funny because you have to put it down as like...
I wouldn't want it counted as a free kick as a statistic.
Kick, ineffective, not clanger, free against.
I don't like it. So I'm hesitant. My stocks are... It's like be wary on your stocks. Don't sell them because it could be good for the AFL getting some new blood through. Or newish blood. They've been in
People
AFL
have been in
system.
clubland is the important thing, right? Like Swan and Harley have been really respected at clubs for a long time.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a voice that is desperately needed.
It's concerning that they've already arced up about a couple of things that I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. No, I do agree.
Because, like, we already have games on the weekend where Richmond and Essendon kicked, 47-32 or something?
Just can't let the boys play on the MCG.
If you take 20 minutes away from that game...
We get that COVID game between Collingwood and Richmond, the draw.
Yeah.
38-38. Actually, that was technically higher scoring per minute than
anyway,
Richmond Essendon game.
I don't know.
My stocks down is much more simple than yours. It's just the Bulldogs' defensive six. In general, I think that they are... and look, we talk about it all the time.
We gave them ups like 2 weeks ago.
Bevo giveth and Bevo taketh away. Like, for every crazy Bevo bad, there is a crazy Bevo good. And, like, I have to, like, agree with that. But the fact that they're insisting on playing 2 keys instead of 3, when they've got Jones and Buslinger ready to play, it is baffling to me. If you were ever going to bring one of them back to get that 6 working, it had to be against Adelaide.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And like O'Donnell and Lobb are doing a great job.
Yes.
But it's just 2 of them. And whoever's back there with them, be it Caulfield or Karmas, cannot cover. Every team has a third forward now who's a marking forward. Whether they're tall or not, there's always a third leading marking forward. And with just O'Donnell and Lobb, you can't do it. And the good sides will expose you and consistently have. The Bulldogs are still able to score in all of these games. They scored almost 100 against Geelong. They scored almost 100 against Adelaide. They scored 80-odd against Collingwood. But because they just get sliced open the other way, it hasn't mattered.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge problem for them currently.
Again, we sang the praises of both Lobb and O'Donnell in recent weeks, so we're not saying
we'll
they're
continue
bad.
To do it. I still think they were good on the weekend.
It is a situation where Rory Lobb has been playing sort of above his area. He is an intercept defender, and for the last few weeks he's been playing really good as a one-on-one defender.
Yeah.
Obviously, you saw what he did to Aaron Francis. But when they need it in like a game against the top 8 side, they need Liam Jones or Buslinger playing defensively one-on-one.
So that Lobb can get off and cover.
Yes, 100%. You should be leaving that third tall forward or third marking forward to expose them so that their main targets don't get marks. And Bevo's stubborn. He's already said in the media, basically, that he's not changing it. And he bevoed Matt Kennedy on the weekend, for anyone who plays AFL Fantasy.
Put him in the forward pocket and just left him there.
It's brutal.
To be fair, to Bevo, they were dominating the clearances in that second half. So, like, I don't think putting Kennedy in the middle would change anything.
He still bevoed him.
But he just was like, hey, Matt, I know you've been really good, but in you go. Forward pocket, sit there. despite the fact that we've got the forward targets of Norton and Darcy, who are both marking everything that comes inside 50, we want you to also be a forward target. It was... And also, our boy, who we have been defending forever, Norton, is in an insane streak of form for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. It's amazing what having Darcy back has done so that he's not getting triple-teamed literally every weekend. Yeah. His first half was awesome. Adelaide did a great job. Worrell went to him in the second half and locked him down a bit, but he was still bringing the ball to ground and helping the smalls. So
Norton's good.
He's also only like 25. He's still got so much football ahead of him. He's about to have like his 5th 50-goal year.
I feel like he's older than 25, just.
He might be. But he's about to have like his 5th 50-goal year, which is if every team in the comp would take a guy who's doing that often. I'll let you find how old he is before
he's 26 this year.
26 this year. Yeah, 25. So that's good.
And it'll be his 4th 40 plus.
40 plus. Yep. Which is all you want from...
I would not complain about these numbers. In his second year, he kicked 32 goals.
In his first year, they thought he was a backman, so...
His third year, he only kicked 15, but he only played 12 games. Then he's kicked 47, 51, 44, 35, 36 since then. Yeah. He averages 1.6 goals a game. Yeah. There's no problem with Aaron Norton.
More than happy to have that. And also the way he is able to get up the ground and help out in the ruck and help out at centre-half back and et cetera, et cetera. Game of the week next week. So I'm moving past Essendon GWS, which could get into the area of GWS's record win against Essendon a few years ago. Brisbane Bulldogs, I think, is a fascinating game.
You've got to put it down to the Brisbane, right?
Without a doubt, I'm giving it to Brisbane, but the Bulldogs have to show something against the top 8 side, right? And what do the Bulldogs love more than a back... Here is how I see this going. The Bulldogs win this and then lose to St Kilda or North or West Coast.
They got Essendon the week after.
Perfect. That is the most... I was joking about it earlier today to a Bulldogs fan, and they were like, if Bevo coached Geelong, would he have a better record? And I was like, there's only so much I can put down to Geelong's home ground advantage and Marvel. And I was like, I just sent that West Coast game that missed them the finals a few years ago. And I was like, or sometimes they're just really dumb. And then later on, someone was like, what's the inevitable game the Bulldogs are going to lose this year? And what a coincidence. Once again, in round 23, they're playing West Coast at Marvel. And I was like, maybe this one? Because that one was so funny, because that was the perfect Bulldogs thing, where to keep their season alive, they just had to beat West Coast at Marvel in 2023, which should have been the most doable thing you could imagine. And they lost that. And then once the season was no longer on open for them, they go to Geelong and beat Geelong for the first time in like 20 years the next week, which admittedly was the retirement party time game for Geelong. But pressure still, off. Bulldogs hadn't done that in so long, and it was a huge thing for them.
Isn't every game at the end of the season a retirement party game for Geelong?
Yeah, because they've always got someone who's 112 years old. But for the first time in ages, it was a home and away game. But I do think Brisbane Bulldogs should be a good, interesting game at least. The last time they played was really good too. So I think that should be a fun watch. Hawks Port, fascinating from what Port did to Hawthorn last time. Hawks should win, but they should have won last time too. So who knows? Sydney North, I'm moving on. That's fine. Carlton Melbourne is fascinating because both of those teams are incredibly dysfunctional despite being better than they're playing.
The history of those two games over the past few years have been quite good as well.
Yeah. Well, there was that one, was it 2 years ago when Carlton beat Melbourne like a point?
So last year, Carlton won by a point in round 9.
Last year, there you go.
That must be a pre-season game.
There was the final, of course, where...
The final, 2 points Carlton's way. Then there was round 22, 2023, 4 points Carlton's way. 2023, round 12 was 10 points Melbourne's way. The one before that was 5 points Melbourne way, which was the game before Carlton missed finals, losing to Collingwood. Yep. I think it was a Cozzy Pickett goal in the last minute to win it. And the one before that, Carlton won by 5 points. Yeah. So it
has been close.
They've matched up really well on each other.
Without knowing that, I had a vibe of that. Yeah.
Their defenders have been able to take Carlton's forwards really well, and Carlton's defenders have taken everyone well except one person. Whether that be Melksham, whether that be Pickett, whether that be
the way it's
Petrarca,
going lately, it's going to be Melksham, who's in all Australian form.
One of those three players will kick 5 goals on this weekend. I can Guarantee it.
You can go back through the episode of this podcast. I have been a Melk believer for years.
Drink milk straight from the bottle.
I got loads of vitamin K. You
love doing K, huh?
Yeah. I've dug myself into a K-hole. I did, funnily enough, you bring up that semi-final Melbourne-Carlton, because I did make a dumb joke about that today. I don't know if you saw it.
Nope.
A dumb John Mulaney bit. I was like, when you asked Brodie Grundy why he didn't stop Carlton from coming from behind to beat Melbourne in the semi-final, he's like, well, I was over on the bench. Just not getting subbed on while Shaki was sitting directly in front of him, not playing the entire last quarter.
Shaki was the sub.
Grundy was the sub. Grundy was the unused sub for the whole game.
Huh, I thought it was the other way around.
No, sadly. Which is why it was funny. West Coast Richmond is interesting because it's West Coast and Richmond. And the last time they played, it was actually a really, really cool game where Tom Brown saved the game tackling... Was it Gross? I think it was Tom Gross. Running inside 50.
Yes, that was unfortunate, wasn't it?
Geelong St Kilda is only interesting because St Kilda seem to be able to beat Geelong. Typically not in Geelong, though, which makes it a little less interesting.
I don't think it'll be as good as last time. They've got Bailey Smith this time.
Collingwood-Freo should be sick. I'm very excited for that game. Freo have played really well away from home this year. They played really well at the MCG for 2 or 3 years now. Even in Collingwood's premiership year, I think Freo only lost to them by not premiership year, the year before. The year Geelong won. I think Freo only lost to Collingwood by 18 points at the MCG in that final. I'm excited for that. And then my game of the round is Adelaide Gold Coast.
I'm putting it as Fremantle.
The last time they played, it was awesome. They're both still fighting for that top 4 spot. This game, whoever loses it has huge ramifications for their chances to be top 4. Adelaide's chances of top 2 really on the line in this game.
Huge 3 weeks for Gold Coast. They won the Collingwood Challenge. Yep. Now they've got Adelaide, then they've got Brisbane. Win all 3 of those and
Brisbane
lives off.
Just even in the last couple of years when Collingwood have looked like a functional team, Brisbane have just battered them to the side as if they don't even care. It's been real Big Brother stuff.
Yeah.
And they need to... That's one of those ones they need to make a message because there's at least a 50% chance they'll run into Brisbane in September if they try to make a grand final. So, I think those... it's a good 2 games to finish off the weekend with a few interesting games. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still picking Fremantle Collingwood, and I sent a message on Instagram to my nephew being like, please win this one. I think it would be funny.
Collingwood dropping 2 in a row and returning to the pack at this time of year would be huge because they were so locked into top spot. But if they lost both of these games, I'm still tipping them, to be fair. But if they did lose both of these games, I think that puts them only 1 clear of the chasing pack.
It would be a huge, not reshuffling because obviously they don't move, but it would bring everything closer together, give Brisbane a chance to potentially take that top spot. Yep. Which would be huge for them because
and Adelaide. Technically as well. Both Geelong losing and Hawthorn losing really brought 2 through 9 closer together. Yep. If Collingwood then also lost this week, then that top 9 is just a real throw a blanket. So it is interesting. I'm still Collingwood 1, Brisbane 2 as I was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, most of the ladder predictors I've seen have Adelaide taking that too.
My seeding. I think we're Adelaide finishing second. And then Geelong, Brisbane, 3rd, 4th, depending on percentage, results, etc.
Getting a huge home final could be huge for Adelaide, but I just can't see them going all the way.
I think against a good team away from home, they'll have to play at the MCG at some point. And Collingwood just have the wood over them. It's insane. And I don't think you'd want that mentally going into the grand final.
Umpire's going to do them like that in finals.
Isaac Rankin will find some way to have a free kick paid against him that no one else would.
Tip-wise, I'm tipping all of the home teams except GWS.
Seems about right.
Yeah.
Except I'll be tipping Melbourne.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but...
I tipped Carlton for 12 straight weeks at the start of the year. And I've just stopped. I've stopped doing it.
That's fair enough.
That's not true. I tipped them against North.
I think this is one of the ones you could probably go...
It's definitely a game you could tip Carlton. Yeah. And look, they did look better in the first half. Brisbane are obviously a far better team than the teams Carlton have been shitting the bed against. I don't think there's any shame in losing to Brisbane in Brisbane. I thought that a lot of their endeavour was really good. I thought their ball movement was much better. It was just that from 29 minutes in, I reckon 25 was when they switched it on, but 25 minutes into that second quarter, through to the end of the third, where Brisbane just kind of really put the foot down. Dunkley took off, Ashcroft took off, and they just kind of flew away with it.
Yeah.
But it was far from Carlton's worst performance in the last couple of months.
And I'll be very interested to see any changes from that side, because I expected in the VFL for Blake Acres to maybe put in a statement. No. Yeah, I think he had 15 disposals and 1 tackle.
Yeah, speaking of statements, I'm really interested to see if Tim Kelly comes straight back in this week, because the reports were that he dropped himself because he didn't have touch for the last few weeks. Like, he felt like he wasn't quite where he needed to be. I don't know whether that's true or not, or whether that's the media trying to be like, we just gave him a 2-year extension, maybe we shouldn't be admitting openly that we're dropping him. But his game in the waffle was insane. Like, they lost by 3 or 4 goals, I think, to West Perth, but he was probably the best on ground by a fair way. I think 3 goals, he had like 28 disposals. He was fast, he was skillful. A couple of weeks ago in Collingwood, he was really important to the way they played that game. He played a high half-forward role. I think that might be good for him moving forward. Like, I think if West Coast want to build out that new midfield core they're building, putting Kelly at a half-forward role and being a delivery guy isn't a bad idea. Fans will have to accept that he's not going to be getting 25 or 30 touches a week while he's doing it. But the few touches he had was awesome. But I mean, we've been here defending Kelly all year.
Yeah, well, I don't think Tim... Like, it's one of those things being like, people ripping into, you know, and maybe I'm at fault for this too, because I just had to go at Blake Acres, but like, ripping into players who just aren't doing what is expected of them because they have such a high ceiling.
Yeah.
So we all know how good Tim Kelly can be. Has he been that for West Coast every week? No. Has he still been getting 20-plus disposals, kicking goals, clearances? He's fine.
Yeah.
Sure, I understand the disappointment with how West Coast have gone over the past 3 years. And there should definitely be times when your senior players are told, yep, you need a spell. And he's given himself this spell, allegedly. And he's putting in the work to, you know, make sure he has the touch and can come back. So, he's fine.
Imagine telling us like 5 or 6 years ago that we'd be consistently defending 2 West Coast players from the media. I couldn't imagine a world where I'd be doing that ever. But here we are. Yeah, it's stupid. The other one is, and this is it's a nothing thing, but it is weirdly late in the season that we still haven't had the Bont extension.
He'll get extended.
I don't like to do contract stuff, but it's very late in the year for that not to happen. I don't expect him to go anywhere.
I really do think it's just hey, Bont, we don't know what's happening with players like Jamari Ugle-Hagan or, you know, Ed Richards. I don't know if he's already signed. We need to nut these down, and then we'll give you whatever's left. And
he's and he clearly loves the club, and he is the captain of the club.
I don't think there's any world in where he leaves, and if he does, it'll be probably the darkest day in Bulldogs history.
Fans would stop watching.
It would be one of those situations where, let's say, hypothetically, he leaves the Bulldogs for one of those quote-unquote big clubs, and then suddenly he wins a Brownlow. It would be the most heinous bullshit that's ever existed.
I couldn't imagine.
What club would he go to? That's the thing.
Yeah, no.
So I'm thinking about who can afford him.
If you're not the Bulldogs, how much money would you have to pay? Like, he is the best player of the last 6 years.
Okay, so I'm looking at clubs who have the money. St Kilda aren't going to be winning a premiership in the Bont window, right? Neither are Essendon. Maybe Hawthorn? Is Hawthorn the only option?
What I laughed at was everyone's favourite snake oil salesman, Sam McClure, said, you get the feeling that if he's leaving, it's going to be to Collingwood, Geelong or Hawthorn. I was like, oh, really, Sam? The other 3 Victorian teams in the 8. I wonder where you got that idea from, you fucking idiot. Speaking of... not really speaking of, my brain went, what if he becomes the Tassie captain? But speaking of expansion...
Licensing stuff for the 20th team, huh?
I did think it was interesting. They didn't say yes, but it was the least negative I've seen the WAFC be about a 20th team. I think they realised, money.
Yeah. But they also want guarantees.
Yeah, I was saying to Beth this morning on the way to work that the fact that WA has 2 teams whose memberships have waiting lists makes it the perfect place to put a team, because
It's also, you've got to do it soon while West Coast is still shit.
yeah, exactly, right? Like, you've got to take advantage of, you might not get the rusted-ons, but you might get their kids.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are people who love, and there's 2 really great regions you can go, north or south.
Yeah.
Both have a huge catchment. You can go Joondalup, Geraldton, or you can go Mandurah, Bunbury as your locations.
Mandurah would be sick.
And like, there's huge catchment pools in both those areas to bring fans in who would want a local team.
Yeah.
Like, if they play at Hands Oval or Rushton Park against your GWSs and your Norths and your smaller teams that come over, you're going to get those local fans in. There's a huge opportunity for it.
There's also like
we've been talking about the fact that it's the only logical 20th team if we have to have one for ages. And it comes on the back of, I heard, some figures that came from the AFL, which obviously I haven't seen confirmed, but allegedly they did the costings on a Darwin team, and it would cost $20 to $30 million a year to run the club.
No, it's probably not
they
gonna
have
happen.
half the population of Tasmania in that state, and they are spread out. Like, it's the least feasible option.
Look,
even without the weather.
Romantically, it would be nice to have a Darwin team,
Yeah.
but I just don't think...
It's not financially or responsibly feasible.
I don't think so. I would like it. It would be nice, even if... I mean, we've got a good setup at the moment where Gold Coast play 2 home games there, and
I think that's good. Like, I think that if they were going to drop any games you play in Cairns and keep the Darwin games, because I think they are important. Melbourne's games they play in Alice are also really cool. Even though they keep losing them, Melbourne stopped playing in Alice Springs. But yeah, Darwin win. That Gold Coast win in Darwin as well, so it's a great thing for them. Same as like the Bulldogs in Ballarat.
And it sounds like
we
they
joked
really...
about the Bulldogs selling that home game. Being forced to not be able to sell that home game being worse for them. Maybe they beat Adelaide in Ballarat.
Maybe.
Because Adelaide is a fast, high-scoring team. Of course going to do better at Marvel when there's no wind, no roof. But yeah, I think more use of those grounds by teams is a good thing. I don't begrudge teams for selling home games against the smaller clubs they're going to play against.
No.
If you're not going to sell out your home ground, go somewhere rural, get the fans in. And if you're the Western Bulldogs, not many places more Western than Ballarat. Yeah. I think that's all of my things for this week. I don't know if I have anything else
I'm
to
trying
say.
to think if I have anything else in my brain.
Don't punch blokes. That's for Devon Robertson and Christian Sherry. Don't send pointless things to the tribunal. That's for the AFL. Don't trip people. That's for Harley Reid.
Yeah, just don't.
Do make fun of Jason Horne-Francis. That's also for Harley Reid. That was really funny.
That was amazingly funny. I don't care if he lost after that.
Even if he leaves this year, it's not 1 year.
Yeah, he lasted 2.
He lasted. That was so just good. And look, Jason Horne-Francis won them that game, and he was outrageously good. But it was funny. It was really funny. I hope we get many more years of Harley Reid and Jason Horne-Francis being dicks to each other, and we just well might, because they are both little shits.
Yeah. It's so funny that they can spend all game rooting for that, those two tussling against each other and having a go at each other, and then as soon as the game's over, they go,
"How
that
irresponsible.
Harley Reid, so irresponsible." How
and it's so funny because that's what Jason Horne-Francis gets if they lose, because they won. It's not irresponsible. That's what makes them good. It makes them competitive,
playing on the edge.
There was I had an adjacent take to that, but I've lost it.
Adjacent Horne-Francis.
Yeah, adjacent Horne-Francis.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Oh, the other rivalry that's been like that for a long time, we're not going to get to see this week, or in a few weeks' time, when it happens, is that Tuke Miller is out for 4 weeks, and he will not get to renew.
I feel like they've been
unpleasantries
in a cold war for a little while now.
They had a little bit more this year, because obviously Tuke's moved to the forward line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a lot colder.
Yeah.
Dane Zorko has, and I begrudgingly say this, to his credit, become a much more sensible footballer in the last 4 or 5 years. And even more begrudgingly, I will say, he is a very good media performer now, and he definitely didn't used to be. There may have been some things that happened in his life that are public and not public that made him reflect on how he was behaving as a person, and he seems to have sorted himself out a lot. He was such a big part of why they won a flag, and he's clearly so good for the kids down back, and they've got a lot of them. and Touk is playing sensible football. And he's not a tagger anymore. That was where it all started.
Yeah.
Touk was a tagger and Zorko couldn't handle it. And the captain that took over in Anderson, he won in the game on the weekend.
Clutch.
So it was one of the most clutch goals I've ever seen.
That joke account that called him the most clutch player in
right.
the AFL, no, maybe
they
right.
nailed it.
Yeah, he's going to be good for a long time, Anderson.
And he's
we
the
don't
youngest,
give midfielders votes on this podcast, but I feel like Noah Anderson would be getting probably the most votes from us
He's
this year.
the youngest captain in the competition at the moment. And if they picked All-Australian captains not based on legacy, he would be a real shout for All-Australian captain this year.
I'm talking about, according to the media, it'll probably be Jack Crisp, the captain of the team.
he was good, wasn't he?
You're right, do you need some water? You're dying over there?
No, I'm okay. There's a couple of times Chris got run down like 3 times on the weekend, and I was like, my joke kept being like, maybe he needs a spell on the twos, maybe he needs a week off, end the streak. But yeah, it's probably going to be like Gawn or Bont who gets if Bont gets picked, whatever.
If Bont gets picked, it's Bont. Sorry.
Yeah, the legacy pick, whatever. And like we've seen it with Rance and Hawkins, who were not even fucking captains when they got the role. But if you were picking it based on who has been the best captain this year, Anderson's a serious guy.
Yeah.
Like he's taken his game to new levels as a captain. Like Raoul's gone with him, but Anderson's been more consistent than he's ever been. He's lost that tag of, doesn't
Watch
pack
him
his
do
pillow,
something really
etc.
fucking dumb, like make Jeremy Cameron the captain.
Yeah, maybe. There'll be something stupid like that, wouldn't they? They love doing it. I remember when Hawkins was the captain or Rant, those 2 in a row, I was like, what are you doing here? Like, what? And they were teams with like Pendlebury and Selwood. Yeah, Franklin was one as well. And these are teams that were picking like Pendlebury and Selwood and like actual captains. And you're like, there's a guy right there who's like a generational captain.
Yeah.
And you're not picking him. Like at least Gawn is a great captain.
Yes.
And a legacy pick as captain. I felt we've tangented into All-Australian.
Well, it's coming up soon.
It's the end of the season is not far away now. So.
And the question is, will you be tuning into the Legends match, or will you be tuning into the All-Australian announcement happening at the same time on the same day?
Well, we're pointing at the TV again as Luke Ryan pulls on another blazer.
What? No, I'll be watching Cyril Rioli line up for whatever team he's representing, probably the Allies.
And, he'll be his allies, because Ablets.
Yeah.
They'll pick one for each other.
Yeah, I just want to talk about that.
In a rec game? That's not how it works.
I'm going to pick the Victorian player. I'm going to pick the player who's not from Victoria.
I get that, it's
just promo.
First choice
of
it. But, it's a Legends match. There's fucking influencers playing in this game. Pick one, Dan Gorringe? Come on,
it's going to be, we're going to watch Dan Gorringe and Marmalade lining up at full forward next to bloody Nick Rewalt.
Okay, I'm watching the All-Australian game. You've broken me.
They could get Prime Train.
He's so... The funniest thing about Prime Train to me is he's so sincere.
Yeah.
He means it. Everything... And I do give him credit when he often says about, he knows he's not good enough, but, he just takes football very seriously. But he takes it so seriously for a guy who plays Div 1 and 2's footy that it's really funny. And, he also, obviously takes care of himself, and he's got the long mullet that he clearly styles perfectly every day, and his perfect skin.
Legend.
And good for him.
Get him in the game.
What? He looks less terrifying than Bailey Smith with a very similar style.
Speaking of Div footy, did you see that... Charlie Dixon played a Div game against Marmalade in the ruck.
That's
and
funny.
He destroyed him. Absolutely monstered him. I would not like rolling up to Div footy and seeing Charlie Dixon. I'd be like, come on.
No thanks.
No.
That game that got Hawkins to pull on the jump, you're like, fucking really?
Yeah, no.
Come on, man.
No.
Hawkins, even at the start of last year, was still able to throw blokes around. He's only a year out. Who was the other one? I did have one other thing I was going to talk about, which is slightly more serious, but not really. Forgetting the homophobia thing itself.
Yes.
I thought that Duggan coming out and referring to it as just a slip of the tongue showed that they did not take it seriously enough. They came back later in the week and said that he recognises how serious we said. But when they said the words just a slip of the tongue, I was like, that just shows me...
Maybe it's just Duggan trying to get around his players.
Yeah, I think they were trying to be like, he's not a homophobe, it was just a dumb thing he said. But then it made out that he actually is a bit homophobic sometimes. And I think there's a
Nothing
problem...
worse than he's ever said on Call of Duty or Fortnite.
He says worse to us at the club all the time.
I saw someone online saying, well, you don't know if Jack Graham's gay or not. He could be gay. He's allowed to say it.
So true.
Well,
I think we've made that joke previously. But then I think if he
We said it as a joke. They said it seriously.
If he self-reported to the AFL in confidence, probably would have put the context in, I reckon, if he was gay, and then we wouldn't have heard about it. But I think there is, and this is this is a thing that we're never going to be able to learn, but this is a thing that I do genuinely believe, is that when these punishments come out and people talk about them, because we don't know the actual verbiage that was used, we don't know whether it's overkill or not. Like, we don't know, like, there's a whole range of things you can say that are homophobic and can be considered slurs, some of which are significantly less harmful than others.
Yes.
And the fact that we don't know what's been said obviously makes it hugely different, except for the few times that the mouth readings happened and you've gone, oh. But, like, with this one, no one knew about it for a week and a half. We don't know what he actually said, so it is trickier, I think, in that circumstance.
Yeah, and the fact it's going to be different each time because it will be the, depending on what's said, right?
Yeah, depending on what's said and whether it's a self-report or not.
So if you self-report, you're going to get less games. If you say something...
It does, I will say, make the Willa Rioli incident look a bit sillier in hindsight.
I mean, we immediately made those jokes in our group chat, right?
Yeah. The fact that he got 1 week as an afterthought...
When he was already not playing?
Yeah, should have been anyway. But yeah, don't homophobia. Don't do it. It seems like a thing that you should be able to get out of your vocabulary because most of us can in our day-to-day lives.
It's not difficult.
Especially when you've been playing for that long. You've been in a professional environment with
how
all
many
that training.
How many years do they come to you and say, these are the sensitivity trainings, you're not allowed to do this, you should do this instead of that?
He's too busy drawing Hangman. His notepad in the back of the room. Anyway, that was a sad note to leave it on after what was a mostly silly episode.
Yeah, mostly silly.
Well, slightly silly. So it's a Monty Python bit 3 people will get. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on The Back Pocket. This has been a weirdly long episode for 2 people who did almost no prep. Don't.
Inaudible jokes.
There's been a few of those. Anyway, thank you for joining us as always, and we'll see you next week.
That's all, folks.
Yeah.